What is up, restaurant friends? If you're looking for help on improving the safety of your workplace, you're in the right place today. I'm here with Domenic Pedulla from SafeCheck Training and the Canadian Food Safety Group. Domenic, what are the biggest challenges that restaurants are facing right now that you're seeing?
Yeah, big challenges right now are costs in every format, right? From rent, insurance, labor, food costs are out of control, both in Canada and the US and probably in many parts of the world. Those are really big challenges. And then, on the reg side, we also got, increasing regulatory challenges that our restaurants are facing, and labor and finding labor, right? And we those are forever challenges. I think they're always happening. They seem to be exaggerated and just bigger in the last 3 or 4 years. It's definitely since the pandemic. I think a lot of these things got aggravated and exaggerated in a big way. So restaurants are definitely facing those challenges. The cool thing is, we were on a podcast together. My co-host of the SafeCheck podcast, we talked about this right at the beginning. The awesome thing about the restaurant and the food service industry is that they are resilient and they can face these challenges, and they're used to them. They're so there's people out there like yourself that help. There's we in our small way, we do our help by offering high value, high quality content to help them meet regulatory requirements. So yeah,
Let's dive in on that. I mean, I bet things have changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years since the pandemic. I mean, with food safety and regulations, what have you seen, and how does SafeCheck, how do you guys help support that?
I think the good thing and the bad thing is the good thing is when the pandemic hit, when we were talking to restaurants, and we definitely saw an uptick in training in a large way. And when I was asking people why they were contacting us, if business is down and nobody's coming to your restaurant, and what's like, how all of a sudden are you training everybody? And it was, we can't have another thing against us. We can't have another hit in any format. So we want to be in compliance. So that says to me that before they weren't worried about being in compliance. So that was a good thing, because okay, well, people are training. To me, the bad thing is that before they weren't doing it for that reason. They weren't doing it for things. So we definitely seen during the pandemic, I think, an increase of, hey, we're focused on safety, and people wash their hands like crazy all of a sudden, right? It's like probably the best thing that ever happened, right? The flu went down, and the water was clear in Venice. You could see the fish, like all the good things that came out of that was, all of a sudden we were really super conscious of washing our hands and how easy contamination can happen. So how we help in it is, we've had online training for many years. We've always been on the value side, whereas as much as 75% less than our competitors. Our training's approved across the country. It's accepted in some other countries around the world now. It's high quality. We offer real customer service. People answer the phone. We're online, by email, and we give unlimited exam attempts. So in Canada here, it's similar to ServSafe in the US, right? Our course would be similar to ServSafe Manager. So it's not a little course by any stretch of the imagination. So it's and again, the good thing that's come out of that is now I guess because of our value proposition, we do have restaurants and food service establishments and organizations that are saying, hey, I'm not just going to train the minimum anymore. I'm going to train everybody, which is what should happen. Everybody that's working the restaurant should know how to handle food safely. And the fact that even our regs don't require that scares me.
So what
Right?
specifically, if a restaurant came and wanted to work with you, what does that look like? How can you help,
Oh,
and what do you provide for them?
yeah, it's easy for us. Multiple ways. So if you've got 3 or 4 staff that you need to register, you can go to safecheck1.com. You can it's going to ask who the billing is for. You can click on food handler training. Okay, add it to your cart. At the checkout, it's going to say who's paying for it. Well, it's Court. And who are the students going to be? Bob, Jim, and Sally. You put Bob, Jim, and Sally's email address in, and their phone number. You'll get the invoice for those 3 people. You'll pay for it. And then Bob, Jim, and Sally, because you've put their individual email addresses in, they're all going to get an invitation to start the course. When they're done, they'll get a certificate. Their exams includes unlimited exam attempts. So it's really easy for them to do it and for you to purchase it for them. Now, if you're a larger organization and you're training a lot of people, we have what's called a group management account. You can buy 25 or 50 credits for that food handler course or any of the other courses that we offer. And we'll put those into a group management account for you. You'll get instructions on how to use it. Now, again, yourself, Court, you'd log into the system and you'd say, I've got Bob, Jim, and Sally that need training. You add them into your group. You enroll them into the food handler training. Bob, Jim, and Sally get an email. They complete their course and their exam. You get notice that they've completed it. They get their certificate by email. You also have a copy of that right in your management dashboard, and you can see all of that historical training. You can see where they're at, what they've completed. Bob says, "Oh yeah, I'm working on it," and you log in and you look and say, "Well, Bob's never logged in. Bob hasn't done anything yet." So it gives you some flexibility. And the big thing that managers and supervisors tell us is they don't have to chase people for their certificates, right? If they're having a reg audit or a public health inspection or corporate audit of who's trained, they can log in and they can show all their staff that have certification.
Very
And
cool.
with us, when you buy those 25 or 50 credits, your credits don't expire. Unlike most of our competitors, they would make you use those credits up usually within a year. We don't do that. You buy them, you own them till you use them.
Gotcha. So what are the lessons or what are the modules? Like, what does that look like if someone goes through it?
It covers everything from regulation to what the bacteria and the pathogens are, to personal hygiene, purchasing and receiving, facility, pest control. We even cover HACCP. If anybody knows what HACCP is, hazard analysis critical control points is it's a food safety system or a system to control hazards in food. Sort of you lay out what you're going to do to prevent hazards. It's a preventative control sort of process to make sure and say, hey, if I'm going to cook chicken, or if I'm going to serve chicken, here's how I'm going to make sure it's safe. And you lay it out like that. So that's covered in there. We talk about the culture of food safety in there as well. So it's comprehensive, covers a lot. And we try and do it in a non-boring way.
Yeah. Well, and so there's these safety inspectors pop in and do a safety inspection. Do you help prepare restaurants? Like if if this happens, make sure you're ready for it, like
Yeah,
checkpoints of
we
things?
actually have another we have a sister company called SafeCheck Brand Protection,
Okay.
where we do exactly that. More on the independent inspection side. So we would do public health is in there for 15 minutes. We might be in there for an hour. Public health would, public health would look at a lot of things. We would look at probably 200 or 300 things and give a report, usually back to the corporate office on and the location on here's kind of like here's the detail from a brand protection and a brand standards perspective, as well as a regulatory compliance. So in SafeCheck Brand Protection, we actually do that.
Is that
So
something like, how often do you recommend restaurants do that?
um our what we think is it puts you in a good spot is 4 times a year. 3 is a minimum. And what that, if you couple what we do along with maybe what your regional operations people are doing, and or pest control is doing, sometimes you get some reports from that. Then you've got the facility that is always has compliance as at top of mind, not only from the food safety perspective, but and the regulatory perspective, but from a brand standards perspective. And that's why we call it SafeCheck Brand Protection, because I think many people would know the brand damage that can happen with just one incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as much as we'd like every brand to hire us and have us go do that, we would strongly suggest is that you take off your owner hat someday, or daily, but at least once a week, and walk around without your blinders on, and do that sort of self-inspection. Because if you take the time to do that self-inspection, our hope is, and often owners know this, managers know what's wrong, right? So if you do that, you can often put very, very quick and easy changes in place to rectify that. And don't do it because you want to comply with the regulation. Do it because your customers deserve it. The people you're serving deserve it. Your employees deserve it. You deserve to have a clean and healthy workplace, right? It's don't do it for public health's sake. Do it for the thousands or hundreds of customers you serve every week. They're the ones that are going to benefit from that, and your business will benefit from that.
Well, and absolutely. And how can you, through marketing, help tell that story? An example, during the pandemic, a lot of restaurant owners asked me, they were like, well, should we be posting about the safety things that we're doing? It's like, absolutely, you need to be posting about. What do you tell, in today's age, how can people use, their marketing, their social media to tell the story of like, we're doing the things the right way? How
we when people pass our course and get their certificate, they get a letter as well as their certificate, and in the letter it says, congratulations, da 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 da. Post and share your commitment to food safety. Like, be proud of what you've done, because as much as restaurants are I think are shy to tell people the things that they do to protect them. And it's a lot. It really is. It's a lot. And the good operators are not afraid. They're proud of what they've done. So from the social media perspective, we're starting to see people share their certifications on LinkedIn, saying, hey, I'm proud I got my SafeCheck food safety certificate. I got my SafeCheck WHMIS certificate. I got my SafeCheck respectful workplace certificate. I would say, tell your story. We talk about it in our podcast, the court. Again, we were on one together where I'm a big proponent of that. We're doing that ourselves. We've been doing it for a couple of years. And we're trying to amplify that message, not about us, but about our customers and what they're doing, and or services like yourself, right? Helping people get that word out, because print and coupons and all those things, we do a lot of Google ads to have people understand our value proposition, but you have to be everywhere now. You can't just be in one spot. People are living on social, so if you're not getting your message out there on social, you're missing out on a lot. You're missing out on a lot of opportunity, a lot of, not necessarily free, because it does take time, but very inexpensive marketing compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, and I can see, I'm just imagining your certificate having the staff holding it, taking a picture with them and being like, congrats to James. James just passed, and really play that up, because we take that serious, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's got to be a powerful thing.
yeah, it is. And that we obviously like the restaurants that invest that, and we're seeing again more because of our value that we offer. Like we're $25 for certification in Canada, $20 if you do it in bulk. We offer the same program to high schools for a much higher discount, where we give them food safety, we give them WHMIS, which is chemical safety, we give them respectful workplace, and we give them allergen awareness, and we give them those 4 courses to high schools for $17. So for the schools, it's super inexpensive, because it used to cost them $50 or $100, or they'd get public health in to do it, and they could only ever come once a year. Now they can enroll every student, and our deal with the schools is, if you assign this as homework and you let the kids do this at home, you have to take the time that you would have done in instruction in the classroom and give them lab time or knife time or hands-on skills in the kitchen, because the theory part of it can be taught online and be very effective, right? The exam happens in the classroom, still online, but if they take that time that they would have taken a day or two to teach food handlers or food safety, and give the kids another couple days of hands-on time, they benefit from it all around. The employers benefit from it, because the kids are coming now certificate in hand, which helps the employer. High school students often, this is their first job, is in food service, as many of us know. The parents are really happy. The schools help their kid get a job. And the school's really happy, because they're saving a whole pile of time and money. So it's our benefit is we're helping the industry, and in the future, this is really an investment in our future, and that some of those kids are going to come back and they're going to renew with us at whatever our price is, right? So
you're training the next generation, right? So
yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
I think first aid should be taught in schools, and not just food. If you're in a foods class, you might be taking our certification course. So we get a lot of feedback from instructors, from students, and even from parents, that their kid got their certification through their high school, and they're happy about it, because it's not often that the school can say, hey, we helped your child get a job, we helped your child with this skill, right? Like the skills are immediately employable, especially out of foods, right? Because they can the food service industry needs those kids.
Absolutely,
right? They need them.
Yeah.
So and they're sorry, go ahead.
Well, so what are opportunities that restaurants would have to work with you? If someone, like, what would be like the
easy.
first step? How can
First step, just go to our SafeCheck1.com. Yeah, so just go to our website, SafeCheck1.com.
What would be the first thing to do?
Purchase food handler course, or call us. hey, I want to talk about what you offer, right? We'll take your call. Yeah, we have an 800 number on our website. We get lots of compliments on how easy it is to register for a course. We work hard at that. We've spent a lot of time and money on custom plugins for registration and all kinds of, if anybody's got a website out there, they understand that it can get complicated, especially if you have an e-commerce site. You take e-commerce and then you try and couple that with the learning management system, and it's hard to make them talk to each other, even in today's day and age. But it is, from a customer perspective, SafeCheck1.com, they're highlighted right there. Food handler course, register now, add it to your cart, go to the checkout. We are going to ask you for some money, and within a few minutes you're registered, you get an email, you log in, and you can start. Yeah, simple. And 24/7, 7 days a week, they can, if they're ready to do their exam at 3 a.m, they can do their exam at 3 a.m. It's proctored by a proctoring service, so they have to show their ID. So we're verifying who took the course is doing the exam. And that's live and on demand. There's no extra software. There's no extra cost. Again, our approach to this court has always been, what are the pain points for customers? And when we started this 10 years ago, but really 6 years ago, when we really changed things up, was what's the feedback from our customers? And the feedback was, it's expensive, it's hard to do, it's hard to register, I don't want to schedule my exam, my how do I manage a whole bunch of employees? And we just looked at each one of those points, and we started eliminating the problems, just like restaurants do, right? They see a need, and we didn't reinvent the wheel. We just put better rubber on it. We just put better tread on it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and tell me about your podcast. You got a couple podcasts and things.
Yeah, we have the SafeCheck podcast, where we talk with all kinds of cool people, and not always about food safety. We talk about different things. We've talked, but generally in and around kind of training and safety and kind of what we do. We've had, I've told you earlier, like we've had a couple people on from the movie Poisoned. We have a gentleman on that works with, he's got a company called Clean Ice Canada, where their focus is cleaning ice machines.
Oh,
it's cool, right? We've had public health inspectors on. I think the first jurisdiction in the world that came out with the sort of a scores on doors sort of program, if you're familiar with that, where the letter grade for your public health inspections on the window of the restaurant. Okay. If you've ever been to a place like that, Toronto Public Health started that, and Jim Chan's been on our show a couple times talking about that. We've had people that we talk around technology around equipment and restaurants and food safety and service. We've talked a lot about people that are in this industry that are making a change, which is cool. And then I co-host another one with Jay Ashton, who and we do the late night restaurant podcast. It's not a podcast, as you may know. It hangs out with all the other podcasts, but we can't call it a podcast, and we don't want to call it a podcast, actually, because it's like this. We do video, and we talk in that. Again, it's all more or less around food service, where we talk about sort of the food service world, and we try and keep it again along the positive aspects of the food service world, even though there's challenges, right? The cool thing is today is, if you go and look, I've been paying $100 for food safety. I've been paying $100 for food safety. we get companies all the time. They're buying ServSafe out of the US that is approved in Canada, but they say, well, why is yours $25? It's like they didn't know, right? They're big, massive companies that didn't know, and their franchisees are starting to tell them, hey, there's an alternative out there. So I think the cool thing about our podcast and the late night podcast that we do, or the late night show that we do, as well as services again like yourself, is that people, if they go out there and look, there's the ability to do so many more things nowadays, and often do them just as well or better than what you might have thought was possible, and very often for a lot less money, which is, again, to everyone's benefit, right? We get to employ our staff and give benefits and do all those things only because we have large volume. We sell a lot of training, right? Mm-hmm. We've got to sell four trainings to every one of our competitors to make the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. And maybe 5 or 6, because our costs proportionally are much higher to what our competitors are to the product. So we like doing good, clean business, and when we try and have people on our shows that also operate like that, and we want to highlight them, to say to the food service world, hey, because you're bogged down in your restaurant, right? You're bogged down in your operation. You're just so busy doing everything that you don't know that these things are available and they're out there. So we've talked to so many cool people, and it's incredible. Some of the things that are out there are just they're awesome. So yeah, those shows are. They've been insightful for myself. And when we started doing ours, it was just in a casual conversation and say, well, why aren't we doing one? And I want to highlight our customers. That's what I try and do, and or bring these things, services that are similar to us, that offer high value and not necessarily a unique service, but a service that for a lot of people thought was out of their reach. Like training everybody, 10 years ago, no restaurant would have ever thought of it. I'm not training everybody.
Right.
Like, the public institutions would do that because they had time and money to do it, but a lot of restaurants did. They only trained their manager. So we think that training should be affordable for everybody, should be available to everybody, should be easy to use. So when we talk to vendors or customers or just people, and they've got that same attitude, we get excited, because that ultimately, that's what helps operators, right? Big and small.
Super
Because
smart.
the small operator is often just a franchisee as well, with a family, and they're looking to save money and operate and maximize efficiencies, and they're doing the same thing. There's often a big system behind them that helps them, right?
Yeah, I love it. You're doing such good work. Thank you, Domenic. If people want to find you online, where can they find you?
SafeCheck1.com. So like SafeCheck, the number 1.com. SafeCheck1.com.
Okay, the number 1.com. Hey, thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks.
Hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.